inspiring Indian women and a whole host of women that want to showcase and help other women, I would just like to say a few words about being a woman. For me, per se, my ideal to be a woman has been the word Shakti. My last dance ballet that was closest to my heart was called Shakti. It talked about empowering yourself, and you could be Durga, you could be Parvati, you could be Sita, you could be Deepika Padukone, you could be Katrina Kaif, you could be Indira Gandhi, you could be Theresa May. It doesn't matter. All these women stand for the power within. And on Women's Day, it is our duty and our pride and joy to respect and honor every woman that has achieved whatever that they can in their lives. हमारे लिए एक औरत का जो ओहदा है वो भगवान का not एक just वरदान है, एक उपहार है. तो इस उपहार को आज हम सेलिब्रेट करेंगे. आज मेरे साथ today with me I have 5 really exciting women. I use the word exciting because they come from backgrounds that I know actually nothing about, except I know about the NHS, but I don't know about the army. And I just feel reverence the moment I use the word army, because women and army are certainly not synonymous from time immemorial. It is something that women have forayed into right now. With great pride and joy, I am going to welcome 4 women today on Women's Day that are going to talk to us about their journey, what they found inspiring, what they found challenging. And ladies and gentlemen, whoever have taken the time to join us today, my humble request to you is put your questions down, write to us. And, we also have a lady called Moya who's 75, and she's attempted to achieve the impossible almost. And, all of us together will talk to each other, and hopefully we will inspire you. So may I, with great pride and joy, invite Captain Shah, Dr. Mina Bobdey, Abhnash Bains, who is a fantastic entrepreneur and a philanthropist, Lieutenant Colonel Bhairavi Sapre. I mean, I just feel so humbled. Thank you, ladies, for joining us, and welcome to the podium.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to start this chat today by asking the question to everyone. And if you find that appropriate, do that. If I were to just very briefly talk about each lady, maybe, it might give you a little flavor. So I'm just going to say a couple of lines about the background that I have for each one of you. So I'm going to talk about starting with Captain Neera Shah. Captain Neera Shah is a specialist pharmacist and a reserve officer in the British Army. She's had a civilian career, but Neera also works for the Central and North West London NHS Trust. She leads an all-female pharmacy team in delivery of specialist pharmacy care and provides training and clinical support to the diverse team of the healthcare professionals within her trust division. I mean, I work for the NHS Trust, the professionals area, so I know what amazing challenges you have. So I'm going to come back to Captain Neera Shah. I'm also going to talk to her about her army experience and how she has served as a pharmacist officer and detachment commander in the Royal Army Medical Corps. And Captain Neera, may I ask you, what inspired you to get into serving the army and, pharmacy? Talk to us about that and talk to us about your journey.
Sure. It's been a long journey, I have to admit. So I started when I was at school. I was in the Combined Cadet Force. It was something that looks great on a CV, and my parents sort of said, yeah, go ahead, get some experience, go get some training. Obviously military, sort of that kind of military experience gives you a lot of stability and good core values and things like that. And then it was sort of a shock to them when I said, actually, I'd quite like to take this further. And they were a bit taken aback by that. And they said, well, oh, we don't really know a lot about it. Why don't you get a bit of life experience, go away to university, do a degree, and see how you feel? So I went through university, I became a pharmacist, and 5 years later, I was still really, really drawn to the military life. So I said, okay, I don't have to do it full time, but I can always do it part time. I think the thing for me that drew me especially to it is that I still get to have my civilian career. I still get to have my civilian life. I have a lovely fiance, Pratik, who's also on the call here, who's very supportive of me. And it means that I don't need to necessarily uproot him all the time in my work as a reservist. Yeah.
I think I have one question before I introduce our other panelists. I mean, I'm a Shah myself prior to my marriage. And, I remember I started dancing at the age of 5, and my mom said to me at the age of 21, "Ave lagan kari karo, both and, I wanted to get into the acting career. I wanted to explore my creative field." And she goes, "Oh, you never know. And, she kind of dissuaded me. How did you have the gumption, or were you blessed with parents that were like, okay, go whatever you want to do?"
No. I think all parents are the same, but I think that lends to the theme of this year's International Women's Day, which is choose to challenge. And I chose to challenge, and it took me 10 years, but I continue to challenge. In the name of feminist movement of America, nevertheless, I persisted. If you believe in something strongly and you feel passionately about something, as you did yourself, I think nothing should stand in your way.
So the thing that I will take away from one of the things that you say, and I hope all the women who are listening to you will take away, is that if you believe in something passionately, there is nothing that should stand in your way. Just follow your heart and keep the passion. And I'm sure you can achieve your dreams. I have a 13-year-old girl who's listening to you guys, and I hope you could inspire by this. Thank you, Neera. I will come back to you with a lot more questions about the defense network. So thank you for time to actually even share this with us. But stay with us while I introduce our next guest. Our next guest is Dr. Mina Bobdey, who is a consultant psychiatrist, educator, coach, and a therapist. She works as a consultant psychiatrist in the NHS, again, yay, especially in these difficult times, and the Ministry of Defense. She works for the Ministry of Justice as a medicinal member of mental health. I mean, mental health, Dr. Bobdey, is such a how should I say, throbbing topic at the moment, because all of us are going through such amazingly difficult times in COVID. I will have to pick your brain and a few of the other ladies and tell us, how to cope with that. But you are also it says over here that you've worked keenly to increase awareness of mental health and practice preventative mental health across the globe via telepsychiatry. Before we go into a bit more about you, tell us, how did you get into psychiatry? Is it a difficult field for women? And as women, is it a bit biased because we have more compassion?
Such a lovely questions, Darshini. Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me on this show. Really privileged to be here. So I am originally from India, born and brought up in India. I'm the only female who's done medicine in my household. And I was doing medicine, like an MD medicine. And then one fine day, while doing the accident emergency posting, a lady brought her husband. And unfortunately, he had already passed away. And
sorry.
we were so busy. Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
We were so busy. We didn't even have time to talk to the lady. And that shook me. I'm just dealing with body. I want to do something where I can deal with the human being as a whole. And I changed my field to mental health. My parents weren't happy. I also come from a Gujarati family. So like you and Neera, I come from a very Guju family. So I was the first doctor, and they wanted me to be either like a gynecologist or a pediatrician, something which will be easy and family orientated. And when I said I want to do mental health, they said, mental health? Paglonka doctor? Why would you want to be a Paglonka doctor? It is such a lot of stigma. But then as I got into it, I realized that I help people as a whole. And stress is such an important part of everybody's life. And each and every disease has a psychosomatic component to it, which I can help. And they're very happy about it. And over the years, so I was born and brought up in India. I still work across 3 countries, India, UK, and New Zealand. And that's why telepsychiatry plays a huge role to kind of be communicated. So when this COVID came, the technology was more easier for me to deal with because I've been using it for many years, and I've started various preventative groups. One of the very important group I want to talk to you about is for mental health for NHS workers and social care workers. It's open to all of you, but happy to answer more about mental health as we go along. So thank you,
I'm
Darshini.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bobde. I'm just going to make a very humble request. If one is not speaking, may I please humbly request you to be on mute, because when a speaker is speaking, when someone else's phone interrupts, then it just becomes really difficult and some key messages could be lost. And I wanted to talk to you about working in New Zealand and, coming from India. And that journey is probably common with a lot of the ladies that are on the panel today. So thank you, Dr. Bobde. We will come back and I'll discuss a lot more about mental health with you. I myself, the reason I do these things and interview people like yourselves is because there has to be some synergy that is there, which affects me. That's why it draws to this. And, Rashmi, like a miracle worker, connects me to people like you. I go through as a creative person, the lockdown has been really difficult for me to not do anything creative and work in a totally different field. So I'm going to ask you about dealing with that stress. So I'm going to go on next to Mrs. Abhnash Bains. She's a philanthropist, a renowned Reiki master, a hypnotherapist. I need to know what that is. Award-winning motivational speaker, coach who sought out from the world by storm her creative and professional approach to living a successfully and satisfying life. I mean, that's everybody's goal. And that is something that, I want to talk to Mrs. Bains about. And how do we achieve both professional and personal success? I have done work with professional coaches in my PR life 20 years ago, but I always struggle to understand, is there a simple, short success tool? I need to ask you that. The other interesting thing about Mrs. Bains is that over the last 2 decades of her experience in civil services, and she's set up Hounslow Ethnic Language and Literacy Office with the Hounslow Job Centre, and they deal with unemployment and cultural needs of the British Asian and minority community here in the UK. Drawing from her personal experience and obstacles, she allows to build, connect with other ladies and other members of the community fighting for success. She also started Kia Beauty Salon to provide employment to girls. I can imagine how important that is, and I'm going to ask you about that too. She's a passionate member of the Lions Club International, and she's been honored by the medal by Lions Club International for encouraging membership and growth. So there's so much more on your CV, and I can't possibly go through all of that in this slot. So welcome, Mrs. Bains. Can you please talk to us about your journey and the one key thing that helps us as women be stronger?
Okay, first of all, I would say nobody can make you strong. It has to come from inside. Yeah, most of us, I've been listening to, apart from Capt. Neera, who seem to be, I think, quite a lot younger than some of us. Well, I'm 62 now. And I also was born in India, but in Punjab, came here when I was about 7. And we came here in the early 60s. So you can imagine we faced, because there wasn't that many ethnic minorities here, we faced quite, prejudiced races. One thing I would always say to everybody, don't let anything hold you back and don't let other people dictate. I'll give you one little example, which shows how most of us from the Asian background, we have that ability that we want to succeed, not just for ourselves, but for our families. All right. One of the things I found when I became a widow at the age of 26 with 2 children under 5, I remember I did everything. You know, I was a typical good Indian girl, but working in a very much Western environment. I would be the only brown face there. And one thing I realized is sometimes we as parents also can spoil our children. And my daughter was 15 when she came home one day and said, I don't have to do any homework, because I read on the news and in the newspapers that children of single parents are expected to succeed. I was livid, all right, because I was always taught by my parents, you have to do better, you have to, you know, as long as you're happy, don't do anything to take things away from others. But if you want to, say somebody's got a big house, you aim for that, but you don't say, I want to take that person's house. You find ways to achieve the same thing. And always be positive in life about yourself, about those around you. And I mean, I'm sure, I mean, none of us as women, we are talking about empowering women. And I remember when I was doing it at one of the international conventions, and everybody is a taboo, you know, we don't like to admit that other women sometimes will try to hold us back as well.
It's very hard.
Yeah, I see Captain Neera, and we don't like to say that because we're talking about empowering women and so on. And I tell you something, I have always found men has been more kind of encouraging once they realize that you have the skills you have and you're determined. Sometimes women who may be powerful try to hold back as well because they don't want you to reach the same stage, when it should be the other way around. We are, as sisters, as you know, as other women, we should be encouraging each other to open other doors. And I learned that from my mum very much, and my father. It could be because we weren't a typical Asian family, that my father was an only child and my mother was the only sister amongst 4 brothers. So, and we came here, and maybe because my father also, I mean, he joined the Labour Party, but like he said, he was a bit socialist. And my father's and my mother's attitude was, if you cannot help somebody, don't hold them back, you know, because they will get there. But if you kind of help a person by advising and by promoting them, they will remember that. You know, majority of people do, you know,
So,
99.5, but there's always like a little percentage. But if you don't help somebody and it's written in their fate that they're going to achieve the same success, they're also going to remember that, you know,
they were.
Help them.
I remember asking
Sorry.
this question, interrupt, but I wanted to say something that you said, which is so special, and I want to get this message across. I remember asking the famous actress Shabana asked me this question. She was doing this big thing at Logan Hall, and I was one of the guests there. And I asked her, I said, Shabana ji, you have traveled a long path of success to coming to this point. You must have come across a lot of actors and producers and directors that are women in specific that have tried to take over. And that's something that I want to, you know, to deal with probably. And I want to ask that to Lieutenant Colonel as well. But Abhnash ji, can you answer me in very briefly, how do you think we can not let women's negativity affect us?
One, I mean, I'm going to give you again an example. I only joined Lions about 10 years ago, and I joined because they were chasing me. One of the very senior Lions members was chasing me for about 4 years. Well, my father was dying of cancer, and every year I take on 4 charity organizations. And my idea is I do not join charity organizations for the badge or whatever. I find the charity organizations that need my help, and I like to take it to the next stage, you know, so I can utilize my skills. And I remember when I stood as Lions, I was like, you know, as a district governor, I'm a past district governor, and I found one of the things is that the cattiness, the bitchiness, but I didn't let it affect me because I thought, this is nothing. I have been the Oli Brown face sometimes in other jobs, you know, and where they were mainly men as well. So for me, the trick is I kind of flick off.
Okay.
So that's their problems, not mine.
Good. So I'm going to take that amazing piece of advice from you, from all your experience of raising children single-handedly. Ladies, this is something that you must take on board from someone who has lived the journey, that we have to take the strength from within. We have to be positive. And if any negativity is around us, maybe we shed a tear or two, but we spring back up and say, I'm not going to let that affect. Now, this question will be so strong. Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Mrs. Bains, for actually sharing with us. Now it's time to welcome Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Bhairavi Sapre to our chat. And you know, even just saying that, I feel so humbled, because as a woman, it's such an amazing feat. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about her. Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Bhairavi Sapre is a general adult psychiatrist working for Cheshire and Wirral NHS Foundation Trust as a community psychiatrist, trust-wide perinatal mental health service. She has been an NHS consultant since 2011. She has been working in acute care consultancy, and she has also worked with adult mental health, again, a topic that is common with all of us. During her time with the 208, it says here, serving as a medical officer, she has spent time at the Department of Community Mental Health. And there's so much more about her, including how she's learned so much from the military psychiatry training courses and conferences worldwide. She's involved with delivering post-operational stress management. Oh my God, talking about stress. That is such another hot topic at the moment, dealing with children, family, the home, all in one. May I humbly invite you to the podium and please share a few words of wisdom, experience, and your journey so far.
Okay, well, thank you. And I'm delighted to be here today, and lovely to hear the stories from the other panelists. So my story, I was born and raised in the UK and went to medical school here, and did my medical training in Liverpool. My family's in the Northwest. And I've lived not just in the Northwest. We spent some time, we moved back to India. I grew up in Scotland. So I've moved around a lot during my childhood. Quite early on in my medical training. Now, throughout my medical training, I was never really angling towards psychiatry or mental health at all. And it wasn't until I was a junior doctor. At that point, I was out in Australia, and I worked in A&E. And I just loved dealing with all the mental health patients and the crises that would come in. I was always drawn to want to understand more about the human condition and what had led to that person attending there. And so I always said, you know, at that point, then I said, you know, I want to do psychiatry. And the reaction generally you'll get in medical fields a lot of the time is, don't waste your time there. That's not proper medicine. You know, that's not proper. Stick with A&E, stick with general medicine. And as you'll discover in the theme of what I then say is, you know, I don't like people putting me in a box then saying, what you know, you can't do that. And so, well, why not? Actually, why shouldn't I contribute my skills to psychiatry? So even before that, though, that was as an A&E doctor. Before that, while at medical school, I was interested in sports, and I did martial arts, but I was never someone who did anything outdoors. I wasn't like Neera. I wasn't involved in, you know, combined cadet force stuff. I never went camping even. You know, I had, you know, Indian parents who generally, if it was cold, said stay in the house. You know, it wasn't. Why would you do that? You know, I didn't have a waterproof jacket. I didn't have hiking boots. Nothing. So, but when I was at medical school during my final year, I was in a GP placement, and my GP supervisor happened to be the commanding officer and a reservist with 208 Field Hospital. And he said to me, we were just having lunch after a morning clinic, and he said, "Have you ever thought of joining the Army Reserves?" I said, "No, I've never even been camping, and I do matching handbag and shoes, and that's me." He says, "Don't worry, we'll give you matching handbag and shoes. It'll all be green and black, but it'll be matching handbag and shoes." And I came home. I came home to my parents and my housemates at the time at university and said, my supervisors said I should go to this recruitment event. And they near enough rolled around laughing on the floor. You joined, what? You don't even have any outdoor clothes. How are you going to join? And I said, well, why is that? And the fact that they laughed so much, I thought, hang on a minute, why is that so funny why are you saying that to me? That was a reaction from my friends. My parents were quite a bit different. And this is where I'll say where my strength comes from. I have Indian parents, born and brought up in India, and moved to the UK before I was born, but extremely open-minded and encouraging. And I come from a military background. My grandfather was a doctor in the Indian Army, my late uncle also, and I have a cousin who's currently serving senior officer in the Indian Navy as well. But always, especially my maternal grandmother, she used to she was my inspiration. She always did things outside of the box. If someone told her she couldn't do something, she said, I'm going to do it. And she always said to me, don't let anyone else put you in a box. Don't let anyone else decide what your boundaries are, and don't allow yourself to be too influenced by that. So if something seems like a challenge that you want to undertake, you go ahead with that, with your blinkers of that's what you want to do. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to give them Army Reserves a go. Why not? So I did my recruit training in 2002, and I absolutely loved it. I loved being outdoors. I loved the challenge. I loved the team working. And thought, I'm going to stick with this. And luckily, as Neera will know, as a reservist, you're not contracted to stay any longer than you want to. And I thought, I'll just stick with this. And as soon as it gets boring or too much, I'll leave. So I've been in 19 years now.
So 19 years, but because you know what, a lot of people listening to you will not understand. I'm sure I can Google it up, but it'd be nice for an actual lieutenant colonel to tell us, captain, lieutenant colonel, brigadier, is it based on your work? Is it based on merit? Is it based, how do you, what do young people that may be listening to you today, what do they understand? How do they target themselves to achieve these amazing feats?
Okay, no, that's a really good question, because the rank structure might not, Neera and I will be very familiar with the rank structure, and it's almost second nature to know it. But I guess the thing I'll say here, and it's maybe a little bit of a PR opportunity for the military, is people often, I think in the Asian community, look at the adverts for join the army, be the best, and they see usually a young white male going over an assault course at the age of 16 and thinking, that doesn't look like anything I don't relate to that. And there's two kind of ways you can look at looking at the rank structure. There's your non-qualified kind of soldiers, and then you've got your professionally qualified officers, right, which is what Neera and I are. So if you join at the age of 16, let's say, which a lot of people, young men will do, and women, but predominantly young men, they will join with probably no main kind of qualifications, and will go through the rank structure as soldiers, from private to lance corporal, sergeant, and to go into a warrant officer. And that's what we call the non-commissioned officers. And in the army, they're your gold in terms of the workforce, the people who are out on the front line doing a lot of that nitty-gritty hardcore work. Then you've got the officers who are also part of that, and arguably non-commissioned officers say we're not part of that. But you come in, and you as an officer, if you have a professional qualification. So if you've been to university and you have a professionally qualified, and you're professionally qualified in a field which is of utility to the military, you join straight in as an officer. So you don't go through down that structure of private, corporal, and sergeant. You come in as a second lieutenant or a lieutenant and a captain, and you move up the ranks. Now, again, it varies from what your specialism is. Neera and I are both medically qualified, so we're in the Royal Army Medical Corps. And our progression is very much linked with our professional qualification. It used to be time served, so the duration you'd automatically progress. That's not the case now. It is on merit. So there's different boards that happen nationally. So depending, you will get picked up against all the other people in the military who are of the same specialism as you, and you get boarded based on your on merit of your qualifications and what you've achieved and what you've contributed to your military. So it's promotion like that. So you come in professionally, yeah, for a lot of Asian people who've gone to university.
So this is really useful and important for especially Asian parents. As a mother of a 17-year-old boy and a 13-year-old daughter, you know, I've always been very keen for my son and my daughter to be physically quite active. I haven't chosen a school that is academically driven. I've chosen a school that gives them the ability to play sports, be a part of a team, and understand that when we live in the world out there, it's not just about your individual growth. It is about the whole community working together. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And I'm inspired as your parents have helped you follow your dreams, that, you know what, I will be able to do that for my children. Mind is a huge factor, because the strength in mind is something that has driven all you women to that level of success. So I'm going to ask a question to Dr. Mina Bobdey here. As a psychiatrist, do you find, I mean, you must have probably found this, that women tend to have not the luxury of whiling in self-pity. They just have to deal with the daily tasks. But how difficult is it actually inside of you know, to deal with the daily strife? And do you get a lot of women patients?
Yeah, we do see a lot of women patients, and you're right. You're quite right. You know that strife from inside does happen, and that does happen, and does kind of result into various stress or various disorders. But you know, women do have a special power within, and the sisterhood and ability to talk, ability to express really helps them. And women patients do tend to get more help. So mental health problems do happen to everybody. It's common, and it's getting more common. We do have certain disorders are more common amongst women. Certain disorders are more common among men, anxiety and depression. But one thing I would say, that women tend to get help, and they do tend to get help just not from professionals, but help from each other. So earlier we were talking that we do pull each other's legs and bitch around. But at the same time, I do find women do support each other as well, and pull them together up as well. So we have a huge strength amongst us, and we do make the use of it. This platform is an example of it. We all are working together for better rule of each other. It's a classic example. How many men platform do you see? We see much more female groups. We see much more female platforms. Why do? Because we do stand together. So we have that strength. But yeah, you're quite right. We do see more anxiety disorders, more depression. And as Lieutenant Colonel Bhairavi is specializing in perinatal problems, so problems post-delivery and while pregnancy are also much more common in women. And again, near the menopausals are also more common, of course, in women. So those disorders are more common, I would say. And just give few tips which will help everybody. So one of the common tips is just don't look at health as just a physical health. Look health as a comprehensively physical, mental, social, financial, and spiritual health together. And we women
Sorry,
work in all of them.
repeat that again. So what you're just so I understand this, what you're saying to us is that if we have a tummy ache, or we have a problem, internal problem, we should not just look at it from one perspective, but look at the health as the entire body, mind, soul, spirit. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, look at the health in all the aspects. So just don't worry about being physically well, but consider about being healthy physically, mentally, socially, financially. Financial health is very important for females. So is the spiritual health. So I would say look at the health as a whole. And while doing that, ensure you have a good routine. Routine really helps. And also another thing is learn to say no and learn to set boundaries early on. So if you learn to set boundaries, and all of us need to teach our female members of the family, our daughters, our mothers, our friends, to set boundaries and learn to say no. If you do
This is
that,
big problem. I'm going to ask you this question, and any psychiatrist or any person that is listening, there's about, if I'm not too mistaken, I'm just looking at the number, there's 42 women who are and men who are watching us live at the moment. This is just not a conversation, ladies and gentlemen, between me and these four inspiring ladies. This is a conversation with all you 38 women and us. So if you have any questions for Captain Neera, or for all the ladies that are out here talking to you, including Dr. Mina and Lieutenant Bhairavi or Maya ji, just ask, because this is where, like Dr. Bobdey says, we will be able to help each other. So coming back to what I was saying, that you were saying, that I've just picked up on my phone, I have a little sign that I can't close it now because it would disrupt my presentation, because my laptop will crash. But it says, learn to say no without feeling guilty, because every step you take is about reaching your goal, and no one cares about it, only you. So I think
and you
for
should be the
women,
center for you should be the most important person for yourself.
but then how do you put your husband, say, so I'll give you an example of today, and I'm sure a lot of women will agree with me or disagree with me. So I finished my job at 5 o'clock. I had to get ready and do this course, and a work thing came up, and a gentleman said to me, oh, well, you have to do this. And I said, well, I have something else on. And then tears rolled down my eyes, and I said, oh my God, I'm going to say no. And my son said to me, Mom, learn to say no. So how does that work? How do we train ourselves to do this?
So as you rightly said, we do have a lot of emotions, and we have a lot of guilt, and we have to do this. Do a lot of self-talking. Who's more important? So the most important person for you is you, Darshini. So if you wanted to do something, and if you wanted to be here, you're going to make much bigger difference in the wider community. This is what your heart is saying. So you want to be here. So the first, even though if at that point your heart said, no, I want to do that particular work, and this program was already booked in your diary, you could have already done something, but you need to listen to your heart first. So first
Yeah.
priority is you. And that's
Okay.
that's what we need to understand. If you give importance to yourself, you will do the right things most of the time.
So
And
I
then
have with I will let you finish that. Do not forget, but I just want to make sure I have acknowledged her. There is somebody who's raised her hand called Sanskriti. As soon as Dr. Mina Bobdey finishes talking, if you have a question for her or any other panelist, feel free to jump in, because this is a Zoom. Sometimes I miss people out, and I don't want to do that. So please, Dr. Mina, continue, and then Sanskriti might have a question.
sure,
Carry
sure.
on.
So as I was saying, that give yourself the importance and set boundaries early on. So it's very important to predict that those things will happen in your life, and you are bound to happen. So having a good structure in the day, doing things which are important, like for your nourishment, your family's nourishment, and having those things done. So the basic things are done. So those things are taken care of. And then you already know your importance, like what are the things more important to you. And you already set boundaries. So at work, people already know, because you set boundaries, that for Darshini, this work is really important. And then you could say, yeah, I can't do it today, but maybe I'll do it tomorrow. So being assertive, not being
So,
aggressive, but being assertive is quite important. So those are the
keep your
skills we need to
mantra.
learn, and we need to teach each other. Very crucial to do that. And emotions are very important. And for females, emotions really play a big role. But being emotional at the right moment is more important. So you having that control on your emotions, and not getting those emotions and getting aggressive is very, very important. And for us, we also have an additional cultural influence on us, because coming from India, like you can see my body language, I talk a lot with my body. Where if you see others, they talk very little with their body. That's being great about being Indian. So be proud of it.
Do your mudras and everything. So,
Exactly.
Sanji, you have a question from one of the panelists? Thank you, Minaji.
Hi, Darshana.
Wait for you to say something. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Please talk.
Oh, wonderful. First of all, happy Women's Day, and quite a day to have assembly of quite a high profile women from army and civil. So basically, this morning also I attended some kind of talk, and I often ask Rashmi Mishra-ji that, see, I know about domestic violence. I'm single. I mean, I'm not talking about myself, but women I come across, they are in definitely not a very pleasant situation. And I try to scribble down their story, some part is imagination, some part is actually what they are undergoing. So one scene is that like this, like everybody's talking about a general concept, what background they come from. Somebody is coming from very high profile army background, which I could understand from, I think, Mrs. or Colonel Abhnash or before this present speaker, but not many women are so privileged. So I give an example while I'm talking. I would like to give examples. For example, a friend of mine, she said that, and I wrote a story. She said, Sanskriti, you are single, that you are single, but I'm married yet single. So profound. So it meant that she was, although in a marriage, but she was so lonely, and she used to come to ask for my company because she was dejected, or she was neglected, or she was not communicated well.
What is, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what is your question for the...
My question is that people say, oh, be happy, say no. These are fine, but what if something is very serious? Underlying problem is quite serious, and it is making a woman become very subject to emotional, breakdown situation, anxiety, depression, or whatever.
So
I don't know.
I'm going to ask this question that you are referring to Captain Neera Shah. Captain, you are a young, enterprising, powerful, strong young woman to your, and to your advantage, you have this ability to follow your dreams and be strong. Is it a difficult journey? How do older women have the baggage of positive baggage of experience? For you, how have you dealt with all those challenges? This is for Captain Neera Shah. Are you there? Neera ji? Okay, I think we've lost Neera ji here. So I'm going to ask... Okay, so then I'm going to ask Lieutenant Colonel Bhairavi Sapre to respond to that, if I may.
I'm so sorry.
Yes,
Hello.
Sorry, internet. Would you mind asking me that question again?
Okay. Both Neera and Bhairavi ji, I was basically asking you a question that both of you, I would like you to respond to this. I'll start. If Neera, if you're connected, then this question would be for you. How do you, as a young person, deal with the challenges of saying no, the challenge of being a woman, trying to fulfill your dreams and not quit?
I think it would be wrong of me to say that I don't have people around me to support me. Equally, I've cultivated the people around me to ensure that they are people who will support me. So a big part of empowerment and female empowerment, I feel, is surrounding yourself with who are positive. So, if, for instance, my parents weren't necessarily, I wouldn't say they weren't happy with me joining the army, but they weren't aware of all of the things that it entailed. So educating them meant that they now have that understanding of exactly what I do and are fully supportive of me. likewise, when it comes to prioritizing, I like that word, prioritizing. So I set myself, what are my priorities? My priorities are
1 second.
A, B, C, D.
Neera, I'm just asking you to just hold for a second. Rashmi ji, as the host, could you please mute everybody except Neera, Captain Neera, so that we can hear her clearly, please?
Yeah, sure. I think everybody is muted, and Hina Jala is also a co-host along with me. So yeah, everybody's muted.
All right.
Continue,
Right.
please.
Go ahead. All right. Go ahead, Neera.
Yeah, so one of the easiest phrases that I use, which is very similar to what Dr. Bobdey was saying, is it a priority for me? And if it's not, rather than saying no, which can be seen as whatever, you know, a bit abrupt, I'm sorry, that's not a priority for me right now.
Okay. All right.
It's a very simple phrase, but it details exactly what you think about the situation.
Lieutenant Colonel Bhairavi Sapre, would you like to add a few? Thank you, Neera ji. Would you like to add a few lines?
Yeah, I think the point about prioritizing is a really key one there. And I suppose there was two bits to that question, wasn't there? There was one about saying no, but also about women who might not feel empowered and granted might not be privileged enough to feel they can determine their own fit. So the thing to saying no, I think one of the things which I've had to work on myself even is when you want to say no to something is actually have some stock phrases ready. Have some stock phrases ready that you can either send in an email, a text, or say to someone. So if someone's given you something to do, and even if it's something that you'll ultimately undertake, just pause. And pausing is a big thing, isn't it? About before you launch into rescuing someone else from what their problems are, is to pause and think, thank you for asking me. I'm really, really delighted that you've thought of me as someone who could take this. Let me have some time to think about it. I'll get back to you by such and such a date. Or say, this is really interesting. I'd really like to do this. I'd really like to help you. I can't do it today. I can do it though in a week's time. Or just saying, you know, this just, like I said, it's not a priority for me. Or, you know, this just isn't something which I can accommodate right now. I'm sorry, but I can suggest someone else. So, and I think one of the key things which someone said to me, someone I did coaching with and mentoring with, was say, each time you say no to something, you're actually saying yes to something else. And to actually stop and think, if that's the thing that you didn't want to do and you undertake it and it takes up your time, what is it that you're not doing that you would have otherwise done, which was important to you? So when you do say no to something, that's stopping and thinking, do you know what? I've given myself the privilege of some time. I've got now a bit more time affluence to look after some of that self-care, that self-compassion. That's really, really important to stop and think, what are you saying yes to when you say no to something else? And coming back to the question about women who, you know, haven't got partners or who are supportive, I think it's about finding yourself alliances. And much like Neera, I'm very, very lucky. I've got fantastic friends, fantastic family, all of whom give me all the positive kind of encouragement that I've needed throughout my life. And I know many women don't have that, but the point is going and finding it somewhere else. If it's not in your relationship with your intimate partner, if it's not within your family that you're receiving that, is there somewhere else you can get that positive regard? Is it by joining a group? Is it by getting interested in a hobby where you can meet new people? There are people out there who will have your back, and it's about finding those people and making sure that you surround yourself with those people who give you that positive regard.
So the three things that I have taken away in this particular conversation that Dr. Mina, yourself, and Captain Neera and Abhnash ji have said is that whatever the circumstances, there has to be, and someone else also added up on the chat over here, there has to be some level of discipline. There has to be an ability to say no to things that you cannot do at the moment. What is important to you, and you prioritize that, and you do what's important for you and your future and your family. And you have to place in that order. So you come first, your family comes second. Otherwise, you will not achieve what you're set out to achieve. And last but not the least, I think to spend quality amount of time to look after your mental health, Because if a woman is strong, her entire family is strong. If a woman is just sort of pandering to everybody's women fancies, she fails to herself, which is the most important thing. Ladies, I have a question.
Darshini, can I add another very important point to that discussion?
Please do.
So we as a human being have a tendency for negative bias. So we relive the negative events again and again. So if something hasn't, like, the whole day has gone well, we take that for granted. But if one thing didn't work, we will talk about it to our friends, we relive it, we'll write on the Facebook and we'll say how miserable it was. So that's our human tendency. So instead of that, cultivate and develop positive bias. So something happening positive in your life, learn to see positive what's happening around you. So if you're going for a walk and you saw daffodil, look at it, take picture and talk to a few other friends. Oh, spring has come, I've seen daffodil. If you saw this program and you heard some inspiring women, talk to a few other friends. So learn to relive positive again, again, and again, and increase. We have the weighing machine. Instead of increasing your negativity, increase the positivity, and surround yourself, as Darshini and as Captain Neera and two of our panelists have said, surround yourself with positive people, but also relive the positive moments again and again. So put on your social media more positive things what are happening, like people who are saying about positive. So if the positivity surrounds, that helps. The other thing which the lady asked the question, if there's a serious issue of a domestic violence or a serious issue of the mental health problems, please take professional help. There's lots of help available with regards to domestic violence. We know the domestic violence problems have increased significantly during this lockdown, and there's ample of help available. The first biggest step you would do is get help. And if you have a loved one or your friends who's getting that kind of a problem, please encourage them to get help, and also with same regards to mental health as well. I'm going to put some websites in the chat box where you can get help. So please do that. Thank you, Darshini.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mina Bobdey. There is some really good comments in the chat, which I'm going to share with you, ladies. Kashmira Kalsi has a question, so I'll ask her to shoot her question as soon as I finish sharing. Dr. Mina Bobdey said a good routine does help. Being positive in a negative situation is not naive, it is true art of leadership. Get out of negativity, Anita Ruparelia says, and negativity will control you. Hina Benzala, as Dr. Mina Bobdey said, she will put suggestions for how to get help. I know that Abhnash ji has a Abhnash Bains ji has a group that supports ladies. Abhnash ji, would you please very kindly share with the ladies in the forum today the group that can be reached out to if they are struggling with any kind of abuse, are new from India or any other part of the world? Abhnash ji, what was that group called again?
Well, the thing is, it's
Hello?
Sorry. Well, one of the groups was the Women's Asian Center. All right.
Women's Asian Center, okay.
Center. But what we do now, because obviously that I went away from it for a while, it was the first one. We used to also have a single mothers group from there, which myself and Jamil had formed, one of the other mothers, single mums. And I mean, we also, I remember because we had women who were, like Dr. Mina said, coming away from domestic violence. And we put on the first Christmas, because they were saying the rest of us have families to celebrate. What about us? And, but my number is there. I'll leave my number.
Please.
And if there is anybody out there, because I have been doing counseling as well throughout the lockdown, because I work with a counseling organization. But mainly, I think one of the ladies who was one of the speakers, one of the ladies had made that it's okay for us, inspiring women, and who's been empowered. What about, like she was talking about her friend, all right, who she said, you know, was going through domestic violence and she has her to talk to. Well, the thing is, none of us got to this journey, I'm sure, apart from maybe, you know, the younger Captain Neera, because I know her family. I just realized who it is. And I know she's got a very sportive family, especially her mom. I know her quite well. But most of us, I mean, I went through domestic violence and I had a supportive family, but I like typically majority of Asians, you don't want people to know that, all right? And so you put it behind, and then when your husband dies, you know, isn't it funny how when a person dies, they become a saint? Yeah. But not that my husband was a bad person. It's just...
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So basically, none of us got to this stage, but there is a difference. People who succeed and people who let others' negatives draw them down. If you want to succeed, you will, because you, like the Colonel said, people out there are there to help you. Like as a single mother, I couldn't have opened up 3 companies. I couldn't have worked in the civil service. It's a point of delegating. You know, delegation.
Hard one.
Yeah. And the thing, and most people, if you treat people right, they will come back. All right. They will treat you right. But if you make friends by the thinking, oh, I want to use that friend to get where I want, that doesn't work. You got something to the universe to get something back.
So I want to thank you for that suggestion, and thank you, Dr. Mina Bobdey, for putting all these wonderful helpline numbers on the chat. Ladies, if you have, I mean, there's Kashmira, are you still around? Do you still have a question? Kashmira Kalsi?
Hello, hi Darshini. Thank you for hello everybody. Hello all ladies. Happy International Women's Day to you all. Dr. Mina answered all the questions which the lady had actually asked, and we had gone down on a different tangent. So I was going to intervene, and Dr. Mina has now provided all the numbers because I'm a counselor and I work with victims of domestic abuse. And having been a victim myself, what Sanskriti was trying to say is if one is depressed and anxious, you can't sort of say, oh, get rid of the negativity and form alliances and look for friends. They need to sort out their mental health first and foremost. Unless their mental health is sorted, will they develop their self-esteem and the confidence to ask for help, you know, and make friends? But they need to sort out the depression and anxiety, also low self-worth and low self-esteem. And they might be very frightened. They might not even have any self-esteem whatsoever. So it is all the counseling and the support of their counselor and their psychiatrist or doctor that will help them to rebuild, will be the building blocks for them to move forward in their life. So, you know, they might be deprived because Sanskriti had just put up a message saying they're being monitored financially because domestic abuse, I don't know if you remember, Darshana, we did a workshop and I did on domestic abuse. It's not only emotional, physical, mental, it's financial as well. And it's sexual as well. So, you know, it's on different levels. So when somebody is controlled financially, that person cannot go anywhere. You see, they are completely locked in a situation where to get out of is very hard. And they need to pluck the courage to go to their GPs, their first port of call, to access.
I will stop you right there. In terms of your thought process, I think it is important that we understand where you're coming from. What you're saying is that it's a whole journey. A woman has to first discover herself, find where to reach out for help. It's not easy. The whole mental health and the depression and all of that aspect of a woman's journey is a huge and heavy topic. Domestic violence is a completely different scenario, and we have to find a lot of help and a lot of counseling that is required in that section. And we want to completely reach out to all the ladies that need that support and to reach out to each other. In terms of today's session, we have covered so many. Thank you for your input, Kashmira.
It was mainly because Sanskriti had asked a specific question, and I just wanted to Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to clarify it. Yeah.
No, thank you so much. So today's session, in terms of women's rights and women's empowerment and women's abilities to succeed and shine, has been with women who have come from various parts of the world. Captain Neera Shah, Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Bhairavi Sapre, Mrs. Abhnash Bains, and last but not the least, we had Dr. Mina Bobdey, who shared with us their valuable experience in terms of being a woman, the ability to achieve your dreams, say no when things are difficult, focus on yourself, and lots more brilliant suggestions. I'm going to ask all the panelists now, because there is a positivity that is involved in being a woman. And you have taught me that today, especially that, you might want to cry, you might want to give up, but you must find it within yourself to achieve what you want to achieve. I'm going to start with Lieutenant Colonel Bhairavi Sapre to summarize her thoughts for Women's Day today in a minute or so, just to share with the ladies that have been watching you for the last hour or so.
Okay, so I think the key thing here is, prioritize yourself, show yourself self-compassion, know your boundaries, know that, sometimes putting yourself first actually is the right thing, and you're doing good things for other people by prioritizing yourself. You're not just, a wife, a mother, a sister, a daughter. You are all of those things, but you're also you, so be true to yourself. And that will help you focus on your goals and what you want to achieve in your life. That's my key message to you all.
Lovely. Thank you so much for being with us and blessing us with your valuable time. I do value every single one of you that is connected today, all 42 of you. So thank you. But especially thank you for being kind enough to share your journey with us, Lieutenant Colonel Sapre. Next, I would like to ask Captain Neera Shah, to, as a young lady, I think what Dr. Sapre said, which was really useful, was the fact that as Asians, we limit ourselves to being in specific fields. Captain Neera Shah, talk to me about being a woman in 2021.
Gosh, that's not daunting at all. Being a woman in 2021, I thought a lot about sort of this challenge for change, which is the what's the word? Choose to change, rather, which is the theme of this year's International Women's Day. And for being a woman in 2021 and choosing to change, I think there are a couple of things which I would say are the keystones, key milestones that we need to implement. First is education and integration. So being a woman, knowing yourself is all very, very true, as Mom said, but educating the people around you as to what that means and to how they can support you as well. I think another important thing is about the empowerment and respect. So we talked a lot about how women sometimes break each other down. And I think it's so important that we build each other up more in any way possible. However small your voice is, still a voice to be heard. And a lot of voices make a lot of power. And the last one, which I would kind of phrase as accept no less than you deserve. You find yourself, you decide what you deserve and accept no less than that.
I'm going to cry. Oh, I think that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Say that again.
Accept no less than you deserve.
Accept no less than you deserve. Thank you. That summarizes beautiful words from a young lady, and God bless you. And I hope and wish you all the best in your journey, and may you achieve from strength to strength, and may you inspire a lot of young ladies. And my daughter's watching you, and I'm sure she will say, Mommy, this is just really cool. So thank you for being with us. Stay with us.
Thank you so much.
little bit of fun. So I'm not going to ask you to just leave straight away. Spend a few more minutes with us, but I'm just going to quickly ask the remaining two panelists to summarize in the next minute or so. Dr. Mina Bobdey, I love your pleasant smile and your positivity, and I've taken that with me. May I lastly request you to say a few words to summarize Women's Day and talk to us about it.
So for me, the two words really resonant like in today's. So first, for everybody who are listening, a big message is contribution. If you make a difference in others' life and if you contribute, which we are doing now, you get much more out of it. So as Neera said, pull everybody together. So contribute in others' life, you'll get more out of it. That's one key message. And second key message I want to give everybody, look at prevention. Don't just look at problem and problem solving. Learn to anticipate and learn to prevent happening any other problems. So for each and every female, financial independence is must. So financial independence, if you have, so many things can be prevented. So really focus on that. Nothing is impossible. You can achieve everything. I'm again going to remind those 5 points of health. Look at the physical health, mental health, social health, financial health, and spiritual health. Look at that and work on prevention. Thank you very much for letting me come. Thanks.
It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. Beautifully said, Dr. Mina Bobdey. And I've looked at all the valuable points that you've made. And I'm sure all the ladies who are listening to you, all 42 of you, have taken something valuable. There are some amazing quotes that have been said today. I'm going to write them down when I re-listen to this conversation and put it on the chat afterwards. Last but not the least, Mrs. Abhnash Bains, may I ask you to summarize in a minute what you as a woman want to share with ladies today? I mean, in terms of what inspired you to succeed amongst all the challenges and how you want them to look at you as a role model.
I mean, we use, similar to what Dr. Mina said, I mean, one of my company's slogans is heal the mind, body, soul, and spirit. Yeah. So if all of those are connected, you know, we will be a whole person. And sometimes when I do speeches, I finish by saying, be the change you want to be. You know, means change your life. All right, nobody else is going to change your life. It's up to you. All right. You know, I went through depression, I went through, and every time I get to the top, I get knocked down. All right. And the choice is, I never had a choice. As a child, you know, you came here as a foreigner, you had to succeed. All right. Otherwise, because it was very much, I mean, my family's background is military as well. You know, my father-in-law, my own ancestors. But I was taught from day one, you never give up. But that doesn't mean you, if some other people try to hurt you, you try to hurt them. One thing I think most of us Asians are brought up that leave it in God's hands. But sometimes you can't leave it in God's hands because God wants you to succeed, you know, wants you to do your part. So I would say to any woman out there, don't think that, you know, if we are standing at the top giving speeches, we got there easy. You know, we scrubbed, did cleaning, we worked in factories, we did everything. So if you want to get somewhere, don't envy anybody. If you give something out, you will receive something. All right. If you're working towards anything, if you don't have a degree, work for a degree. All right. If you're in a family, first of all, keep your family happy. I say to my staff as well, if your children are happy, your husband is happy, you will be a happy worker. All right. So your family has to come first. Even today, I was late joining Dishna because I rushed back from babysitting my 2 grandchildren. And my daughter, because she's a key worker, she's a doctor. So I said to her, normally I wouldn't get back till 9:30. So I said to her, I have to rush back home. And she's, Mummy, you can do it Zoom here. I said, no, I want my own space. So please, you know, we all work, but you can make that little me time. All right. Give yourself that time and don't be too hard. And unfortunately, Dr. Mina, I have not learned to, even at my age, learn to say no to people yet. So I ring up and say, can you do something? And I'm like wrestling till 2 o'clock in the morning trying to finish. So I have to, but then it's delegation. I'm very good at delegating things. Right?
So, summarize all. Thank you. I'm going to summarize this wonderful evening. We have a lady called Valisha. Is Valisha in the house? Okay. I don't know if she's in the house, but I'm going to summarize all of that in just one line. I would say, as a woman, have the courage to say no when you can't do something. Focus on who you really are. Find your passion and take the time, even if you get depressed, because everybody does, find something positive and find that smile within you to reach out to what you want to do. I found this, I have this wonderful Urdu saying. My Urdu is not great, so correct me if I'm wrong. I apologize in advance. But I really like it because as women, you know, there is this impression that, you know, she's weaker, she'll come groveling or she'll come crawling and all of that rubbish. But times have changed. I believe गिरते हैं शेरे सवार ही मैदाने जंग में वो तिफल क्या गिरे जो घुटनों के बल चले. You know, so I believe that if we are riding that horse of success, and you know, we are just challenging ourselves and reaching out every day, we will succeed. If we're going to grovel and ask people to let us do what we are entitled to do, I don't know where we're going to be. So find that in you and you will succeed. अपने मन की शक्ति को ढूंढना. आज के लिए बस इतना ही. I am extremely delighted that all of you joined. We are very grateful to our panelists. And I saw all the chats, Rupika, Vinny, Deepthi, Surinderji, Anita, Dr. Neha Sharma. Thank you all, ladies, for your contribution. We're all reading Maya for sharing. So, Valisha, are you in the house?
Just a minute, Darshini, I just have to say very quickly, let me introduce you all. Miss Anita Ruprelia, she's there on the screen. She has been a very big inspiration, past president of Brent Indian Association and regional president of Sri Satya Sai International Organization UK and trustee Asian Foundation for Help. I also want Moya Gottlieb, who has just finished her master's degree at the age of 70 plus. Moya, quick few words from you, Moya.
Oh, where's my...
Yes, Moya, you're on spotlight. Yeah, don't, please unmute. Unmute yourself. Moya, we can't hear you. Yeah.
Yes, hello.
Yes.
That's, yes. Well, thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. It was such an inspirational, it makes me want to go on. You've all been absolutely wonderful. Thank you. And I'm 78, by the way.
78, look at that. And
well,
you just got your degree, master's degree?
Sorry?
You just got your master's degree?
Yes, I just got the results today.
She deserves a big round of applause. And you know, there's never giving up. Here we have somebody who's not given up and finished her master's at 78. Well done, Moya. Well done.
Thank you.
She's also written a book, you know, I know about that.
Oh, yes. Well, I will now be writing some more.
Thank you so much, Moya, for joining us. Thanks a lot.
Thank
so,
you.
Dash, we are ready for party.
Yes, before we do that, I'm going to ask Valisha, before we put the music on, Valisha, you're on Women's Day today, you're a woman in a field that is predominantly run by men. What's it like, lady? And how do you cope with all the aggressive men who are probably drunk, all the aggressive women who are like sending their request to you on the dance floor? How does it work?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine. You look lovely.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting situation, because when I first started in radio and DJing, it was a lot different to what it is today. I found it a lot more difficult when I first started. It's still very male dominant. You know, people choose male presenters over female presenters. But the good thing is I've just moved over to Leica Radio. We've got a new CEO who happens to be a male, but he really does support the female. Like today on radio, for example, we had a full female lineup all day. They even kicked the men that were supposed to be on radio off just for the females to come in. And it's, you know what, you just got to do what you've got to do. If you're good at your job, then just prove that you're good at your job. And it doesn't matter whether you're male, female, black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter. As long as you push to be good at your job and do what you need to do, you'll get there.
Cool. So I want you to be sort of, how should I say this? You know, we had Lieutenant Colonel Bhairavi, Sapre, Captain Neera, Shah, we had Abhnash Bains and Mina Bobdey. All these women are sort of dealing with the mind. So kuch dil ki baat se start kare.
We can do that. I'm going to be playing mainly all female-centric music anyway. So it's going to be either a Bollywood film that is based around females or female singers, or just stuff to get you, you know, entertained this evening, because I really do feel that it's all about women supporting women and women pushing each other to just be better. And I know that all the talkers today, they've all had really hard-hitting but inspirational stories. So I'm hoping now we can, you know, put our dancing shoes on and all dance together.
Cool. Rashmi,
right,
go
for it then.
It's all about fun.
Tu hogi 1 to 2, kadiye what to do. Hogi munde di, patanga wari ki, tumhe mein uddi di. Hogi munde di, hilate chale di, tuk 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 kar di, makeup tuk kar diya. Angrezi pad di, kit pit tuk kar di, jimme koi na saadi Victoria. Tu can't big bang di. Pura London tumkda, oh jadon nach band di. Pura London tumkda, tu can't big bang di. Pura London tumkda, oh jadon nach band di. Pura London tumkda. सब जिधर वो है उधर देख रहे हैं सब जिधर वो है उधर देख रहे हैं हम तो पब्लिक की नजर देख रहे हैं मैं समझ ही गया था ये बात कुछ बड़ी है और बात कुछ बड़ी नहीं तो मुझ तो गड़बड़ी है हट जा सामने से तेरी भाभी खड़ी है हट जा सामने से
हमारे अखियां रे कोई सीटी मारे आगे पीछे मेरे जोरे फिरते हैं सारे मैं हूँ पतंग मेरा गोरा चिट्टा रंग मेरी नागिन जैसी चाल ओए होए चकुड़िया चैंपिया ओए होए चकुड़िया चैंपिया ओए होए चकुड़िया चैंपिया ओए होए चकुड़िया चैंपिया कोरा कोरा रंग जैसी कोरिया पीछे है जिससे लगे नहीं कम ਮੇਰੇ ਡੈਡ ਨੂੰ ਵੇ ਪੱਸਦਾ ਨੀ ਤੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸਾਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਰਾਤੀ ਕੰਨ ਟੱਪ ਕੇ ਤੂੰ ਆਈ ਮੰਨ ਵੇ ਨਾ ਰਾਤੀ ਕੰਨ ਟੱਪ ਕੇ ਤੂੰ ਆਈ ਮੰਨ ਵੇ ਓ ਮੇਰੀ ਹੱਡੀ ਨੂੰ ਪਸੰਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਤੂੰ ਵੇ ਤੇਰਾ ਗੋਰਾ ਮੂੰਹ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸਾਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਵੀ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦੀ ਚੱਲ ਵੇ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਵੀ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦੀ ਚੱਲ ਵੇ
Happy International Women's Day!
तेरे बिन जियो नहीं लगता मैं मर जावा ले चले जा सोइए ले चले जा दिल ले चले जा
Thank you very much. Amazing work.
Happy International Women's Day, everybody.
मैं तो रास्ते से जा रहा था मैं तो झिलकुरी खा रहा था
Excellent music.
घुमा रहा था रास्ते से जा रहा था झिलकुरी खा रहा था लगी घुमा रहा था तो मिर्ची लगी तो मैं क्या करूं तो मिर्ची लगी तो मैं क्या करूं पुराने यादगार की
Party time! ये मैं हूँ, ये हमारी टीम है और हमारी पार्टी हो रही है।
Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you, Darshini. Amazing.
Darshini, बहुत मजा आया. Thank you. Happy Women's Day.
Music जारी है.
Dancing for so long.
On time, stay on.
Make your room the dance floor.
मेरी बेपरवाही खल गई दो धरवा तू किस खेत की मूली है जरा पता
Darshini, you're awesome. Thank you. Great.
So we just want to tell the world that we are not only about domestic abuse, violence, depression, and dukh bhari samlahari. No, we are rebellious. Yeah? We are fun. We deserve to enjoy life.
जिकर दा दिला दूं तेनू बुर्ज खलीफा तेनू बुर्ज खलीफा हो तेनू बुर्ज खलीफा तेनू बुर्ज खलीफा तेनू बुर्ज खलीफा तेनू बुर्ज खलीफा हो तेनू बुर्ज खलीफा तेनू बुर्ज खलीफा
Sweating. Great.
Thank you, Walisa. Thank you, Walisa Chauhan.
देखो है शाम बड़ी दीवानी धीरे धीरे बन जाए ना कोई कहानी देखो देखो है शाम बड़ी दीवानी धीरे धीरे बन जाए ना कोई कहानी दिल पर है दिलकश है दिलदार नजारे हैं आज जमीन पर उतरे कितने सितारे हैं अगलो होश में दानम हम है दिल है हर जानम दीवानगी 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 है ना कोई नजर ना ये दिल सामने लगे किस तरह दीवानगी 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 है all heart girls put your hands up and say oh Shadi all school boys come on make some noise and say oh Shadi Now check this out.
Darshini Joshi.
Okay, bye-bye.
Save the day.
Okay, I'm going to say bye. Wonderful evening. Thank you, Alisha, for this beautiful session. And I hope that,
Thank you. Happy Women's Day once again.
and I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful 2021 ahead. COVID or not, we will all survive. Varisha, I would love to wrap up with your one final song and wish us goodbye in this fantastic sense that you have given us. Have a great day, everyone, including Captain Neera Sharma and all the wonderful ladies out there who are still tuned in. Thank you, Dr. Mina Bobdey, Rashmi Mishra, Abhnash ji, and everyone. Good evening and namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much. Here's the final song of the hour then, or of the show.
Okay, folks, we're now going to end this. Goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much, Walisa. Thank you so much, Darshini. You are fantastic. Hina, your daughter is so adorable. Goodbye, Winnie, Kalia, Rita, Pahar, Ula Chauhan.
Thank you so much. Thank you, PJ. You're the best.
Walisa, we love you. I'm ending the show now. Walisa, thank you. Goodbye.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.